long time coming, finally, and I'm feeling it, the Suzuki Hayabusa review. Nutnfancy project. Man, do I love this bike. You may detect that during this freeform, feature-length, I guess, oceanside review. That's what you're getting ready to watch. This is not an 8-minute, just covering the basics review. No. What I'm going to talk about are things that interest me as a motorcyclist in this type of motorcycle. I have 10,000 miles of riding this bike under my belt. I have lots of strong opinions. That's what makes a good review. You may agree with them, you may not. I don't really care. It will not change the way I feel about this bike. I just go out and find what I think are the best motorcycles in the market. I buy them, rent them, borrow them, put some miles on them, and do reviews like this. It will be unlike any review you've ever seen on the bike. I can pretty much guarantee you that. No one does reviews like I do because no one has the philosophy of use foundational basis I have. In this feature-length video, we're going to talk about looks, again, philosophy of use, handling, suspension, speed, power, economy. Believe it or not, that is a very important part of the bikes I own or use. Ergos, instrumentation, safety, reliability, modifications. First up, how do you like the looks of this Hayabusa? Some may think it's polarizing. They'll go, hey man, yeah, it's just not for me. I'll tell you what, I've always loved the Hayabusa. I think it's sick looking, gorgeous, muscular, aerodynamic. Incidentally, it was designed in the wind tunnel for 200-mile-an-hour speeds. Now here we are, Bayside, San Francisco. Look at the views, by the way. How epic. Big wind kicking up. Sorry about that. You're just gonna have to deal with it. And as we talk about this bike, you may see people come up and just want to talk about it. Kind of like this dude right here. What's your name, sir?
My name is Alan.
Now, was I or was I not just filming and you just came up?
Yes.
You've never seen me before?
Never.
This is not set up.
This is not a setup.
Come on over to the bike, man. Wow. Are you a motorcyclist, first up?
Yes.
You are. What do you ride?
Gixxer 750.
All right, on, dude. And you'll also notice this about the review, guys. Moto people and non-moto people. I'm not myopic when it comes to motorcycles. In other words, just because I have a Hayabusa, I don't go, oh, the Hayabusa is the best in the world. I love a lot of different bikes, especially well-designed sport or super sport bikes. We're talking about the looks, so what do you think of this bike?
Man, this bike's a beast. Wow, low to the ground. Man, it's freaking awesome.
Let's come over this side, that way the wind's to our back. Alan, right?
Yes, Alan.
Now, and this is a totally genuine meaning, and I think it's such an important part of the review, and I'm so glad you showed up. I really am, because this bike draws people to it, even who aren't bikers.
I bet.
It's just interesting. I've had old ladies come up and they go, wow, that is such a cool looking bike.
It is.
They don't bike, but it just draws people to it.
Oh, even the color, man.
I love that color.
Yeah.
It's at the top of the screen, the name of it.
Yeah, it's screaming.
It was a special edition, Alan, in 2013. I've never seen another color like this on the road.
Really? Wow.
Never.
Never. Wow.
Never, never. I don't know why there's not more out there. There's just not. So you run a Gixxer 750, you said?
Yes. Well, I used to.
What color's yours?
It was silver and blue. Was it silver and blue?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the new colors for 2015 on the Gixxers?
No, these ain't the 2015.
But I'm saying the new ones, that's a really beautiful paint job.
So, what is this? Is this your own thing?
Yeah, that's the project right there. That's kind of a, we make fun of ourselves with that patch.
Oh, I see.
Top expert. It's a damn hot dog with a beanie on it. Wow. So it's not too serious.
Man, this guy.
Thank you.
So what's the top speed you're taking this bike to?
And heck, we might as well start there. Top speed, power, MPG, and economy. I've had this bike up to 167 miles an hour. Snap is right. And I got scared and I backed off and it had a lot more to go.
I bet, yeah. I mean, this bike is known to hang with the Bugattis, right? Or beat a Bugatti.
It would be a really, I haven't raced a Bugatti on it, a Veyron you mean?
Yeah.
And there's some other super fast cars like the La Faria,
right.
Porsche 918 or whatever that is. I haven't raced something that exotic. It would be a really good race.
Well,
and you would need a really good motorcyclist on top of the Busa, not me, to get that speed out of it.
Well, if you pull that at 160, I mean, you must be some kind of...
Like if you're doing a quarter mile on the Busa, you've got to be a really good rider. You got to know how to launch it without wheeling it over on top of you, which could happen. This thing has an amazing amount of power and torque. I have beat everything else I've ran against. Everything.
What year?
Every car, every motorcycle. It's just kicked their ass 10 ways from Sunday.
Hayabusa.
Well, but there's a...
You got a Brembo. That's a Brembo.
And those brakes came on it.
Oh,
so Brembo brakes, radial calipers, excellent feel. They're not stainless steel braided lines on the brakes. But in the second gen, I forget which year, they came over to Brembo brakes on it. And you need them.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is that you have to go deep. There's a different rear set I put on here, by the way. You have to go deep in the pedal for the rear brake, more than I would like. A lot of motorcycles are like that, so I just wish it would come on a little bit more. It is equipped with ABS, no traction control on this generation of Hayabusa.
What year?
This is a 2013. 2013 Hayabusa.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So it's super fast, and I don't want guys to roll in the video and go, oh, the Busa is all that. There's a lot of fast bikes out there, and competitive options to this.
What's the comparison to Hayabusa?
Well, a Gixxer 1000 is extremely fast. A CBR 1000 super fast.
Right.
The new R1 by Yamaha, very fast.
This is 1300, right?
Yeah, but you're really splitting hairs when you get to a certain level of speed, especially on a public road. Where I went 167, it was open. It was not a public road, so I'll just leave it at that. It's really splitting hairs, and guys will roll into the video and go, well, this bike's faster and this bike's better.
This is clocked at what, 220?
Well, the
top speed?
good question. This governed off the showroom floor is 186 mile an hour, only because it's governed there. It'll run about 200 ungoverned. I have this one ungoverned.
Okay.
So I have a little thing on it from Heel Tech Electronics called XTRE. It's advanced timing retardation, and it'll bring it all the way up to around 200. And then the wind will pretty much stop you at that point. The motor, though, when I was at 167, the motor still wanted to go. I mean, it was still accelerating. It was not wheezing. It wasn't like running out of steam at all. So it's a really fast bike. The numbers you saw on the license plate, by the way, are conservative. They're conservative. Actually, guys are out there, they're getting 2.40 to 60, and they're doing 209 miles an hour with street tires on a Suzuki Hayabusa. The power delivery, since we're here, is super, super smooth. It's not a, how should we say, a really temperamental track bike where you have to rev it really high to get power. Can you hang, or you gotta go?
Yeah, I gotta roll.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I got my AT&T guy waiting over there, that's why.
I'm so glad you rolled in the video. Watch YouTube.
I was wondering what you were doing. I was like, wow, this is freaking awesome bike.
Thanks, dude. It's so good to have met you.
All the way from over there. I was like, what the hell is that? It's like, wow.
It's not something you see every day, right?
No. Like I said, he caught my eye. I'm way out over there. I was like, what is that guy doing? Look at that badass bike. I mean, that's that baby.
And if you think about bang for your buck, let's say you're just someone you like driving something cool. And maybe you know, it's just fun for people like you to come up and visit with them. I mean, this thing retails for $14,500. You can get them used for $8,000.
Really?
How do you touch that? It does 0 to 60 in 200 miles an hour. Gorgeous bike. Granted, you may have a hard time finding this color.
Yeah.
But to me, that's a lot of bang for the buck. Shit. To buy that performance and, hey, look at me, attention factor in a vehicle. What are you spending? $100,000?
Yeah.
Like a Corvette Z06, a brand new one is $100,000.
I got a 750 Li BMWs.
Oh, you're a car guy too, man.
So, you know, I got the big boy too. Big daddy car. So
right on, dude.
And my car's a beast too, but yeah, Hayabusa, that's the beast of the bikes, man.
I love it.
I love it, man.
I love it. Watch Nutnfancy, Nutnfancy on YouTube, and you'll see this video post.
Got you. All right.
Good meeting you, brother.
Buddy.
Good meeting you. See ya. Cool guys in California. I just love Cali, man. I like biking out here. I love hanging out here whenever I can because of dudes like Alan. And you see that a lot when you run a Hayabusa. It's a conversation starter. Anybody who's interested in motorsports, cars, like I said, even old ladies, instant conversation. Yesterday I spent 20 minutes with a dude talking with him. He runs Harley Davidsons, but man, we had a good time. Good visit. I love the looks though. And once again, I want to drive this home. Wind tunnel designed. A lot of people don't know that about the Hayabusa. Hey, that's a cool looking bike, but why did they make it look like that? Wind tunnel, bro. That's why. This bike, by the way, speaking of speed and power, let me come in here where the wind shadow is. Still technically holds the world's fastest production motorcycle title. Now, most of the guys watching the video will know why. It's because all the manufacturers did a gentleman's agreement, manufacturer's agreement to limit the speed to like 186 miles an hour. Before they did that, like in 1999, year 2000, and by the way, those years of Hayabusas I think are collectible. Those bikes will run 200 miles an hour, maybe even faster. It's super easy though to get your bike unrestricted, just like this one is, with putting the Heltec Electronics XTRE on it, and maybe some other ways to do it too, and you just get rid of that limitation. And all that is, and all I'm saying is it's just kind of a gee whiz thing. And as you're watching, I'm rolling in footage of all the driving in lots of different situations, mountains, desert, on the Hayabusa. You're not going to go 200 miles an hour on the street, probably not going to go that fast on the track, but it's just kind of a gee whiz thing. Like I said at the outset, there's a lot of great bikes. ZX14, the BMW S1000RR, the R1. There's a Honda or two that are interesting to me, the Panigale 1199 and subsequent versions. But let's jump into philosophy of use, and this is an interesting discussion. I don't see a lot of bikes exactly like the Hayabusa in what it can do for me. It is a super sport, and I mean really super sport, touring motorcycle. Now, if I were to go with another bike, like the ones I mentioned before, the S1000RR, maybe the ZX14, any number of other sports or super sport bikes, a lot of them are track bikes. That's what they're designed for. They're great on the track, they're super light, they're super nimble, they're easy to handle. I don't want to do 800 miles a day on top of any of those bikes. On this bike, I've done nearly 1,000 miles in a day. Check out the video. Video proof. Did it. It is very comfortable for me, and I'm tall. I'm 6'3". There's not a lot of those little super sports or sport motorcycles that even fit me. I can't fit on them. The Hayabusa though fits me great. So if you don't know what a super sport touring motorcycle is, it goes something like this. It hauls ass. It is super fast. It handles well. It looks cool, and yet you can do long distances on it without just getting all cramped up. Been there, done it, 10,000 miles worth on this motorcycle. Philosophy of use. Another thing you might get a Hayabusa for, and you've already seen it with Alan, just kind of a show bike. You like driving around something that looks cool, it's second cool for you, it makes you feel good when you go out in the garage, you throw a leg over it, you ride it down the street. A lot of us are like that. I've always been a motorcycle guy, I've always been a car guy. No apologies at all. Always will be. This is one of those bikes. You know, grabs people's attention, they love it, and it makes you happy. That's a whole reason to have a Hayabusa, and it's totally valid. Philosophy of use this. How about a track bike How about no? That's what I would say on the Hayabusa. And don't take that to mean something negative. It's just a reality of the bike. It is a big bike. It is a heavy bike, about 586 pounds. That's no lightweight. It takes a certain level of commitment to go around corners quickly on this bike. It definitely takes a skill level. There's a dozen other bikes I'd rather run on the track than a Hayabusa. I've mentioned some already. The Yamaha R1, an H2, a 600, name your variety. A Gixxer 750 would probably be faster around the corners, funner on the track than this bike. The bottom line is this: you cannot get everything in a motorcycle. You're going to have to pick and choose the most important aspects, the most important features to you. That's what you do in a motorcycle. I gotta press because there's so much to talk about, man. Philosophy of use. I will say this, and I was talking to Alan about this, and it's hilarious. I kind of call this the humiliator. You know, if guys don't like this, I don't really care. But again, I've never seen anything that beats this bike in a speed contest. And I'm talking every motorcycle it's gone up against. I can't even name all the types. And I'm just talking informal, goofing around races. At the track, maybe be a different situation. It's just fast. And I'm kind of kidding around when I say the humiliator. It's mostly a car thing, which you'll see here. You know, vets have tried, lots of Porsches have tried, all types of boosted Evos and STIs have tried, and they all just get wasted by the Hayabusa. Okay, and that's a totally valid philosophy of use to have the bike. Dude, I like to go fast. You know, I do too, within the realms of responsibility and public streets. In other words, if you see me running on the interstate, you're not going to see me weaving on the Hayabusa at 100 miles an hour. That's just stupid. I don't do it. Guys do, and they often die when they're doing it. Once again, I have 10,000 miles on this bike. Does it look like it? Guess how many tickets I have on this bike running it? How about this? Goose egg, 0. Yeah, the only ticket I've ever got on a motorcycle was on the freaking V-Strom, and that was a bogus ticket. So I ride smart. There are times and places where maybe you can get on a little bit. Have some fun. Go fast. And by the way, you don't have to do 200 miles an hour to have a good time on this bike. A lot of it is torque and acceleration. That in and of itself is fun. I mean, you're talking a 200, well, technically I think it's 197 horsepower, 172 reaching the rear wheel. And that's before any modifications at all. If you nitrous it and turbo it, which by the way I think are completely unnecessary on this bike, it's even faster. The stock Hayabusa is plenty fast for me. It's kind of my reference point for super sports, and for that matter, sports. I compare everything to this motor. Everything. I'm talking big bikes, not little dirt bikes or mid-range bikes. And what a motor this is. Oh my gosh, it is my favorite motorcycle motor ever, the Hayabusa. Smooth, fuel efficient, like I said, tons of torque. That get up and go, that 0 to 60 or 0 to 80 speed is phenomenal. It will put a smile on your face if you like speed. Totally valid reason to have it, man. I gotta wrap POU up because I got a lot of specifics to show you before I run out of time. I highly recommend this bike. How cute those dogs are. As a daily commuter. Have you ever thought about that? I love guys, in other words, I kind of think they're funny, who buy a bike, put it in the garage and never ride it. There are a lot of sport bike guys like that. Hey man, I got this bike, it's really cherry, it's got a sweet paint job on it, it's waxed. When you ride it every Saturday, only when the weather's good during the summer, that is not me. This bike has ridden anytime there's no snow and there's no water on the road. It's actually ridden in the rain a couple times too. I've used it as a commuter lots, an errand getter lots. TMP errands, run the Busa. Why not? It gets 40 miles a gallon. If I'm easy on the throttle, it gets like 43 miles a gallon. like I said, man, think about that. So 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds, 200 mile an hour capable, 40 mpg. And unlike a lot of other bikes I've ridden, it's not super picky about how you twist the throttle. I can hammer it with about, I don't know, 10, 15 wind sprints in it. I still get, you know, 40 miles a gallon out of a 5.5 gallon tank, which gives the bike a 225 mile range, thereabouts, going into F-trip, reserve. That's pretty awesome. I mean, I had my friend Matt out. He has an S1000RR, great bike, but he says it has a 3.5 gallon tank. On that aspect alone, I don't even care about the ergonomics. I wouldn't use a S1000RR. I can't go anywhere with it. You know, this bike traverses the Sierras, the Rocky Mountains, the Wasatch Range. It goes across the Nevada desert. I need range, and I have it with a Suzuki Hayabusa. Gosh, oh yeah, philosophy of use, I'll end with this at POU. Ghost Rider. Now, his wasn't faired. He stripped all the fairing off. Look up Ghost Rider. He's over in Europe. He's running from cops, doing wheelies at 185 miles an hour. Insane. But he uses and had used a Suzuki Hayabusa. Take it for what it's worth. Let's jump into handling suspension. I may come back to POU, but this is such a fascinating discussion on it. First up, remember, it's kind of a heavy bike. It's not going to be super light on its feet. It is what it is. You'll have to determine if that is okay with you. With what I get in touring comfort, MPG, overall ergonomics, and absolute speed, I'm totally fine with it. Personally, I have no problem at all wrangling this thing around corners, mountain corners. I'm talking technical mountain riding, as you've seen on camera, really fast. I can pretty much hang with most bikes within my own personal risk level. Meaning sometimes I'm just not willing to take upon the risk the other guy is, and so I slow it down. I really love the suspension on it. In fact, it might be one of my favorite stock suspensions ever. It's got a 43mm inverted Kayaba fork, DLC coated. You can look up the other specifics if you want. It has a built-in OEM steering stabilizer, which, let me see. I think you can see it. You might get a peek of it right around there. Fork, see that? That's a steering stabilizer. The suspension really, for me, was so good, I never even modified it until like 3 months ago. I mean, changing anything on it. Rebound, compression, it was just so perfect. Out of the box, perfect. The only thing you could really say is if you carry a load, an extra rider, back camping gear, which I have on this bike, by the way. Keep watching TMP, you'll see what I'm talking about. A magnetically adjustable ride is a good thing in that situation where I'm carrying weight. But if you're like most riders, you're just going to have a top box, maybe another bag, suspension is perfect. I love it. I didn't know this, by the way, but it does have a slipper clutch too. I guess it did. I honestly didn't, because I've gone around corners and I screw my gear up and I'm skidding the back tire. I might be mistaken, but I don't think that should be happening with a slipper clutch. I'll leave that, the handling suspension there. We've talked about the speed, torque, power delivery. There's one thing I want to say about that. Out of the box, I found that the power roll-on on the Suzuki Hayabusa was abrupt. The way I found this out was in technical mountain riding. I'll try to find some footage where I'm going around a very sharp hairpin turn, trying to keep my speed up, trying to improve my own mountain riding, and the throttle roll-on is so abrupt that the bike is a little bit hard to control around the corner. It was like that out of the box. Now, this motorcycle has 3 modes, A, B, and C. I always keep it in A mode because it is a sport bike, and that's just what I run it in. C mode is like a rain mode, and B is like a slower power roll-on or whatever. I don't really care, I just run it in A mode. The way I fixed that again was with that Heel Tech Electronics. It's called the Advanced Timing Retard Eliminator, ATRE Power Box. Worth the money for the Hayabusa. That smooths out that abrupt throttle response on the Busa. The roll-on is much more controllable. it also removes that top end speed restriction. This bike, by the way, does not have a power commander on it, nor does it need it. Even with the Yoshimura R77 aftermarket cans, which, get this, came with the bike. What? That's right, dudes. It came with the bike. I bought this bike on sale from the dealer, and you got a certificate for the R77 cans with it in this limited edition awesome color. This is an anniversary edition, by the way, of the Hayabusa. I love the R77 cans though. They lighten it up by pounds. You're probably saving what? Over the stock muffler, 17 pounds. I might find the photos when I swapped them out and I weighed them. They sound great. They're carb compliant for California guys. And the Suzuki Hayabusa did not have to get rechipped. I didn't put a power commander on it. It just does great. Again, with that XTRE box on it. I gotta move on. How about this? Ergos and instrumentation. Well, the trend now in motorcycles is to make a very trick instrument panel with lots of information, and I'm all for it. However, I am a huge fan of analog instruments. I don't mind them at all. Turn the bike on here. I don't know if I'm at neutral or not. There it is. I do like an analog tach, analog speedometer, temperature, and a lot of other functions I have in some other bikes. However, it has the basics covered. This second gen Hayabusa. You'll see a gear indicator right there in the center. Fuel, of course, 3 different trip meters, and that's about it. Like I said, I mean, they're coming out with some really crazy and functional instrumentation. I like it, but man, you can't beat analog. I did put a thermometer on here, one of the mods. More accurate, by the way, than a lot of the other thermometers I have on some other bikes, which are included. This is $10 off eBay, by the way. It's an aquarium thermometer. You saw one on my Suzuki V-Strom, right? Totally. Ergonomics. Mentioned it already. It is a big enough bike for me, 6'3". If you're a small statured guy, you might want to throw a leg over this and make sure it works for you. One of those other bikes I've mentioned might be a better fit for you. It is a lot of bike again. It's a heavy bike. That stability is a good thing in touring, long distance riding, you know, fighting the winds, kind of like we have today. That weight is a good thing, but it's a handful. Turn it around in the parking lot, you know, it is what it is. You know, deal with it. The handlebars were too low for me. Speaking of mods, I have I think an inch riser plate in there. And the downside of that is I can almost go lock to lock, going left and right on the bike, not quite. And I have to be super careful in a tight, slow speed turn. This is never a problem when I'm underway, making sure I don't bump my brake or clutch levers here on the front. Ergonomics. The seat is probably one of the best on any stock motorcycle I've ever ridden. I see no reason to change the seat itself. I am riding an Alaskan Leathers sheepskin on top, which I put on a lot of bikes. The pillion is comfortable. Mrs. Nutnfancy doesn't like riding on the Busa too much because she kind of feels exposed. So the rider's kind of crouched over and your passenger is kind of, you know, twisting in the wind up there. So I don't know if it's the best pillion seat around. No, the seat itself is comfortable, but kind of wind exposed. The control placement I think is excellent. I do have aftermarket levers on these just to change out the looks and to change the reach on the levers. I think most guys do that and it's so cheap to do. Why not? I used to have a worry about the rear set. In other words, where they were situated. I was going to lower these all the way, but I found to do so I would have to change my brake lines out, extend them. I just got, you know, used to running them where they are. Pretty close to stock position, maybe one notch lower. I bought that rear set off eBay and it works great. I did have one of my screws come out though when I came over to California and I had to Loctite them. So I took all these out and Loctited them. I recommend you do the same. Ergonomics. Huge thing I did, and this is super important for me, is put on the tallest windscreen I could find. This is a smoked zero gravity touring windscreen for the Suzuki Hayabusa. It is of medium quality. Not super awesome, but good enough. It's just thin is all. And I've busted one. Not from wrecking, but from the bike tipping over in a windstorm at my buddy's house. It's parked outside, 55 mile an hour wind came out, tipped the bike over. I'll talk about that here in a sec. And that's where this came from, by the way. That scrape. Incidentally, I've never laid this bike down, never crashed it. I haven't. Doodle did. He had a rub mark right here when he borrowed it. Had to get it touched up with paint, but still in one piece. Ergonomically though, with that windscreen, it's not the quietest ride around, but you can tuck in on the tank bag, maybe put your fist under your helmet and get a real nice riding position, which is comfortable and non-cramped. Your mileage may vary. And by the way, I really mean that. So what works for me may not work for you at all. One thing I wish the Hayabusa had, and it doesn't, is cruise control. What? You don't need cruise control on a motorcycle. Need? Maybe not. Is it nice to have? Absolutely. Having driven it on the FJR 1300, lots of miles. I would love this bike to have electronic, factory installed cruise control. I think more guys would buy it if it did, and they would see its super sport touring capabilities accordingly. Moving on. Brakes we talked about. Brembos, they are outstanding. I wouldn't change anything about them. The tires I have on here, by the way, are, I think, Road Pilot 4s. I've ran RP3s on them too. Great tires. Long enough wearing. I'm getting about 7,000 miles out of them. And that's pretty much taking it to cord, depending on how I'm driving it. Lots of great tires though. I'm just sticking with RP4s. On to reliability and maintenance on the Suzuki Hayabusa. Well, remember this. It is a Suzuki, not a Ducati, not an Aprilia, not a BMW, or any other high maintenance, temperamental super sport. That is a great thing because in 10,000 miles driven, I've had exactly 0 mechanical problems with this bike. Think about that. Remember the power, remember the speed, remember the looks, if you want, the cachet of this bike, and it's pretty much 0 maintenance. I'm not talking about oil changes, tire changes, brake pad changes, all that's normal. I'm talking where the bike isn't doing what it's supposed to do. It doesn't start in the morning. It breaks down on you. It's leaking oil. The timing's out of adjustment. You name it. This bike has had 0 problems. There again lies my enthusiasm for the Suzuki Hayabusa. It is a perfected design. It's been manufactured since 1999. Most of the technology is proven. You know, a lot of the new bikes coming out, it's not proven at all. It might take, I don't know, 5 years for them to iron out all the problems. When you buy a Hayabusa, it's pretty much squared away, out of the box. And you don't have to put any mods on it to just wail on it and have a great time. Now, you do have to take care of it, change your oil frequently. And by the way, changing your oil is a pain in the butt because it is a fully faired motorcycle. You have to drop this down here. There is no center stand on the 2nd generation. Sometimes I kind of wish there was, but it does save a fair amount of weight. And it's just not super easy. It's not super hard either, but a naked bike's going to be easier. A semi-faired motorcycle is going to be easier. You know, tire changes, I don't find them to be too bad at all. We do all our own tire changes. That is pulling the wheels off. May take them to a place. Sometimes we put them on ourselves if we have time. I'll give it an A+ in reliability and maintenance. And I'm really thinking, have I had any problems at all? I can't think of any. I think I had a battery that died. Now I think I have an AGM battery in there. Something super reliable that I don't have to worry about. But I think that was the battery's fault. Not the motorcycle's though. On to lighting. Here comes a criticism. It pretty much sucks on the stock Hayabusa, 1st gen or 2nd gen. Now, I've upgraded these lamps in here with something brighter. whatever it is, like the Piaia Super Brights, whatever I use, and it marginally helped, not a ton. Coming through the canyons at night, especially the pass through Reno, going through Kit Carson Pass, Sonora Pass here in California, definitely not enough light, especially when there can be wildlife jumping out in front. Here's what I did. I may make a separate video. I put on a Baja Designs Squadron Pro in a custom mount bracket I designed myself. There it is. That, my friends, is the freaking bomb. I tied this into a Blue Seas blade fuse box I have installed under the pillion seat. There's a photograph. Fused in the fuse box. The switch for the Squadron Pro, I'm kind of going into accessories a little bit, but we're covering lighting, I have to. The switch to actuate that is right here. In fact, I just installed this last night. There you go, there's the switch. So that's on, that's off, and it only comes on when the motorcycle ignition key is on. So it's switched on power so you won't drain your battery. This thing puts out about 4,300 lumens and it lights up the night. Here's some video of just that. Making deer visible, road obstructions visible, and you visible to motorists when it's appropriate. I looked all around, by the way, for a bracket for the Hayabusa. I couldn't find it. Could not find it. Had to make my own. It's mounted under the mirror here. I use galvanized, whatever it was, like 2x4 brackets for framing houses. Bent it, put some stainless steel screws in it, powder coated it, called it good. Took me a while to get that angle just right. But that is the Nutnfancy Baja Designs Squadron Pro lighting fix to the Suzuki Hayabusa, and no, I won't build you one. Hey man, make me a bracket. No. I'm too busy for that. I wish someone would make that. They should. I did think about mounting the light down here like I have on a Yamaha FC1. I wanted it higher on this bike, and that's a good mounting point. So far it's working great. Lighting. I do love the turn signals, how they're integrated. Notice the induction here to the airbox. That's cool. Go around to the back. I'm not one of these guys, by the way, that wants to shave my motorcycle and take off the turn signals to be cool. For that matter, I don't use a fender eliminator either. I think they're stupid. Yeah, I do. I don't get why guys do it all the time. Hey, I don't like how that looks. Okay, kind of, I get that, but it's really functional. I mean, if I'm in the rain, slinging mud, grit, water everywhere, I really want to get it all over here, back up in here? No way. Same for the turn signals. Some guys will shave the turn signals and, you know, just act like it's the coolest thing in the world. With the Hayabusa, they're integrated already on the side here. So you won't want to do that anyhow. Modifications. I've covered some already with you guys, right? The R77 cans we talked about. The additional rear sets we talked about. The Alaska leather sheepskin we talked about. This I haven't. And it's a hugely helpful mod. Some guys call them farkles, whatever. I don't like that word. It's a mod. Top box bracket. I think I got it at Twisted Throttle. The Hayabusa top box rack. And you can use it for other stuff, but as you can see, I've dedicated it to a coup case top box. Medium size, not the biggest, not the smallest, and no, it did not come gloss black. I did that. Smoothed it out, painted it gloss black, and man, does it set off the colors of the Busa so well. These stickers I got off eBay a couple years back. This is a functional addition to your bike. It's also another way to tell cops you're not a hooligan. I mean that too. How many sport bikers have you seen running around with a top box? Not too many, Nutnfancy. Exactly. If I was a cop and I saw a top box on a Hayabusa, you know what I'd say? Old guy. That's not a hooligan running on that bike. You just don't see that with guys that are banging around. In fact, I've never seen another one on a Hayabusa, ever. But it's so necessary for the way I use the bike. A couple TMP stickers on it here and there. Here's what I got in here now. Oh, some of that ciabatta bread from Freddy's, since I'm in the area. Level 2 first aid kit. There's my camera stuff, pad, battery, tie down straps. We'll talk about the day pack tank bag here in just a second. That's from SW Motec. And just some other stuff. There's my toolkit right there. All carried in the top box. I never get it when guys don't run a top box or a bag of any kind. I was like, well, dude, where's your toolkit? Well, I just use a factory toolkit. You know, where's your air compressor? I don't have one. Where's your tire kit? I don't have one. They're just not prepared. Be honest, that's not the way I roll. I don't always put the top case on, but usually I will. Usually, it's just functional. Another sweet thing, talking about ergonomics, I forgot about on the Hayabusa is you can put this seat on, but it comes with the hump as well. So I'll show you a picture of what it looks like with it on. And it's just an aerodynamic hump that literally was the result of wind tunnel testing. Again, they found it minimized drag, of course with a top case on, with a bracket. It doesn't do that anymore, it's just for looks. But you can throw that on and it really completes the look of the Hayabusa and people will recognize it even more. A lot of people look for that camelback hump on the Busa. I usually run this back seat even without a passenger so I can run luggage like a duffel bag when I went camping off this bike. Super helpful, and another great reason for this rack, because now I can put bungees on this rack, lace them back and forth, really lock the load down, because there's not a lot of tie downs on most of these super sports, even sport touring motorcycles. There's one here, really nice though. Modifications. There's a tank bag. It is the day pack model by SW Motec by Twisted Throttle. I will give it an A+ from lots and lots of use. I think the SW Motec are the best tank bags I've used. And I've used a few brands. It locks in through a tank ring, which is powered, by the way. I'm not going to lift it up. Might show you a photo or something. And when it clips in with the energized feature, I'm feeding 12 volt power to my 9500i Passport radar detector with a radar screamer modification, high brightness LED. Speaking of high speed runs, this bracket right here is additional. It's also an SW Motec accessory. It snaps into the front of the bag, gives you a place to mount accessories. Okay, love this tank bag. It is not too big for the bike. Volume wise, it can expand. I can unzip it, increase the volume. I rarely do that. It has side pockets for really important stuff. Kind of like that right there. Yeah. Main compartment. Kind of like that right there. There's a map, no cow right there on the side. Excellent. And you saw the rain cover in the top case just a little while ago. This is a custom bracket I made. It's basically just a piece of plexiglass, zip tied, and velcroed to this mount, offset so I can put my head right here, radar detectors a little bit to the left, and then my selector switch I wired through the tank bag is right here. So this is full loud for the radar screamer, this is silent, and I forget what the down position is. I usually have it up. Okay, and I could show you all that, but it was kind of a project to do wiring for this so I can modify my radar detector's behavior and the noise it makes. Great radar detector, GPS enabled. When you got a bike like this and you want to run it once in a while, highly, highly recommended. The only thing I found is that this Velcro will sometimes come off, but there you go. And when you take the tank bag off, your radar detector comes with you. No one can steal it. This right here is for a GPS. It's a RAM mount on top of the clutch reservoir. Then I have another RAM mount on top of the brake reservoir. And that runs my cell phone. And that is a cell phone, iPhone 5 holder I got off Amazon. Running through, and I forgot to tell you this, speaking of accessories, a 12 volt powerlet that I wired. And when I say I wired it, I mean it's done right. The wires are routed, insulated, ran where it doesn't run into anything. I had the fairing off when I did that, and it ties again right into that fuse box by Deep Blue Sea under the pillion seat. Accessories. What else? Let's see. Let me look at my notes real quick. Oh yeah, cramp buster. Mandatory. Love it, love it, love it. I run the thin ones. It doesn't have cruise control, but a cramp buster is the next best thing. It just allows you to put pressure on the heel of your palm when you're running for long distances. Not wear your hand out. Cramp buster. Talked about the levers already. The thermometer, the lights, the riser blocks for the clip-ons. Oh yeah, it does have a speedo healer in it as well, because the speedometer was off like, I don't know, 6 or 7 miles per hour. That is also by Heel Tech. There's other ways to do that. I just like their products though. They wire easily and they are reliable. Look up Heel Tech Electronics Speedo Healer, and they might make one for your bike. Easy enough to wire. So it actually has 2 products from Heel Tech Electronics. And no, they did not pay me to say this. They don't even know who I am. The XTRE and the Speedo Healer. I think that's it. There's probably maybe 1 or 2 things I forgot about it though. I gotta wrap it up. Out of time talking about the Suzuki Hayabusa. One more thing I'll recommend to you guys on accessories, and you're looking at it right here, frame sliders. Mandatory for your Busa, says me. Remember I said Tactical Doodle laid this bike over? And he did. Had I not had frame sliders on that other side, the whole fairing would have been wasted. And if you haven't priced them lately, fairings are expensive. Really expensive. One reason I think the Hayabusa is so expensive to insure, depending on who you are and what your, I don't know, ticket record is, how mature you are, is because of the fairings. Faired bikes are expensive to repair, and the insurance companies know this and they charge you for it. If you have frame sliders, chances are, if you just laid it over gently, you can repair it. You can touch it up, make it look good again. Recommended. These are the cut variety of frame sliders. They were a total hassle to install. I did all the work myself. Might find a photo or 2 for you, roll it in. I like the look of cut frame sliders on the Hayabusa, pretty much any faired motorcycle, and that's what I run. Worth the effort. You have to measure and cut very carefully. These are the Shogun brand. I think I just got them off eBay. You do not want hardened steel bolts right here. You want ones that can bend so it doesn't break the motor or something like that. Got some insulation popping out there I have to look at. Frame sliders are mandatory. I also have this portion clear broad. You might be able to tell. See the demarcation line right here? Yep. The fender cracked, by the way. I don't know why. It was cracked right back here, and I just had to replace it. So this is actually a brand new fender, no clear bra on it. That is the Japanese Peregrine Falcon Hayabusa symbol in reflective stickerage. I got that off eBay. Yeah, but things break on your bike. I'm just talking normal wear and tear. Now, I don't know why it cracked back there. Welcome to motorcycling, man. You just replace it, keep it nice. That's it, man. I gotta wrap it up again. Suzuki Hayabusa, therefore, I will give a very rare likability scale on camera 10 out of 10. How's that? I rarely do that with any item I review. 10 out of 10. The value is astronomical. Like I told Alan, that super cool guy we just met a little while ago, how many bikes can you get that has all the performance, cachet, looks, reliability, MPG of a Hayabusa, stickering at $14,500? That's retail. So you can go to your dealer with a new Hayabusa, maybe get it around $13,000. A used one you can get for $5,000. Easy. You know, you go back to 2002 model, 03 model, get it for $3,000. It just depends what's in your market. You want to get one that is well taken care of from a responsible owner, preferably not modded. And the Hayabusa is a favorite modification motorcycle for a lot of dudes. Kind of a show motorcycle. Me, I'm not into that. I don't like those mods. I think they're kind of ridiculous. Like the extended swing arm. You'll never see me do that. Lowering the Hayabusa? No, look how low it is already. Like I need to go lower than that? That's insane. It's almost a perfect motorcycle out of box. I mean, obviously I modded it for my philosophy of use to make it more perfect for me. Again, the cams pretty much came with it. but even out of box, I think you're just gonna love it. 40 mpg, 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. It's gorgeous, it's reliable, it's fun. It will put, most importantly, a smile on your face when you commute to work. Highly, highly recommended. That is the Nutnfancy review on a supremely awesome motorcycle, the Hayabusa. Signing off. Taking a look at the thing. Out.